Welcome to Media Coffee, the podcast by PR Newswire, a Cision company, where we dive into the latest trends in media and public relations. Today, I'm really excited that we're joined by Marc C. Whitt, a seasoned public relations professional with nearly 40 years of experience working in higher education. Marc is the Director of Media and Strategic Relations at University of Kentucky, where he also teaches integrated strategic communications. Marc is also the author of two award-winning books, PR Lessons Learned Along the Way, and When in Doubt, Make Applesauce, Core Habits of the Master Public Relations Professional. I love that title, by the way. Thank you so much, Marc, for joining us. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Sammy. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you and this audience today.
Thank you so much. So let's just get started with a little bit about your story, your background, how you got started in PR, and how it led to your current role as the Director of Media and Strategic Relations at University of Kentucky.
Well, thanks, Sammy. This year, 2025, marks my 40th year in higher education public relations. That's kind of hard to believe. But during those years, I have met some incredible people and have experienced more than I can possibly imagine, just unimaginable opportunities that have come my way. I have been blessed to have worked alongside several exceptional colleges and university public relations professionals, and that continues today. As you noted, I work here at the University of Kentucky, and we have an exceptional team led by our Chief Communications Officer, Mr. Jay Blanton, and so I'm incredibly blessed to be a part of that team. In many ways, I began this journey back when I was in junior high school. Of course, most now refer to it as middle school, as helping my dad, who was the band director there in the school. Dad actually gave me trumpet lessons, and to this day, almost 55 years later, I'm still playing trumpet.
Wow.
But Dad gave me the opportunity back then when I was in the seventh and eighth grades to publicize his band program, typically around the time that he was recruiting for new members in the junior high school and in the high school. And I loved doing that. I just simply loved doing that. So many years later, I had an opportunity when I went on to college to hold a 4 year internship in the Department of Music where I was. It was my junior and senior years, and then it went into my graduate college years. And so I was in charge of managing the PR functions for the Department of Music. It was the experience, quite frankly, that sparked my interest in higher ed PR. And as they say, the rest is just the beginning.
That's amazing. So we have more than one thing in common. I also have a PR background and I'm a musician as well. So that's great to hear.
Well, great. That's great.
That's great. Let's start with, the trends and best practices in higher education. Could you please speak to the role of PR in higher education and why it is critical?
Yes, certainly. Colleges and universities are indeed special, unique places, as we would all agree.
Mhm.
These are communities where lives are radically changed for life, where minds are stretched and varying opinions are, for the most of the time, met with respect, civility, debate, and deeper understanding, where people from different places and backgrounds across our nation and around the world gather together to live and study side by side. It really makes that quite unique. These are places where research continues every day, fundamentally improving our lives through advancements in medicine, engineering, education, business, technology, communication, and the sciences. And they are places where the arts and athletes or athletics unite us in the spirit and in the thrill of performance. In many ways, Sammy, colleges and universities are the proverbial fountains of youth when you think about it. For those of us fortunate to serve either on the faculty or administrative staff, and in my role here at the University of Kentucky, as you noted, I'm both here on the administrative staff of the university, but also teach. You're surrounded by young, enthusiastic, energetic, spirited young people, excited and eager about the promise of tomorrow. That kind of environment just naturally rubs off on you when you are in such an environment. Our students help rejuvenate our own spirits and souls. When this and much more is taking place on these campuses, who would not want to shout from the mountaintop about this? And public relations allows us to do this in targeted, strategic ways with our various constituents, supporters, local communities and states, the media, and of course our alumni and parents too. And who doesn't like reading, seeing, or hearing about incredible people doing incredible feats? Sammy, I truly believe that success stories happen here in so many ways, and new beginnings, new advancements also happen here. And I wanted to be an active part of telling and sharing these stories when I got into this work back in 1985. So it has certainly been why I felt a calling to dedicate my professional career to higher ed PR.
How do you think it has evolved over the last decade, with
Oh,
the
mercy.
rise of social media and everything? What's
Everything,
changed?
everything. Well, thinking back, when I got out of college and got into this work, nobody could be more advanced than we were at that time. And yet, 40 years later, if I continue to do many of the same things that I did back then, even though they were great then, today, if I don't keep myself fresh and relevant in the work, then everyone suffers. I suffer, the people that I work with suffer, and probably more importantly, the institution for which I represent suffers. So, back then, it was really important in-person contact. I'll say something about that a little bit later because I think that still is very, very important today. Mailing news releases, my goodness, we were churning out press releases and we had to fold, stuff them in the envelope, lick the stamp, send them out. And then of course, most of the work was also done by phone, particularly, dealing with media. And when the fax machine came out, I will tell you a story that sounds kind of corny now, but we had been so accustomed to mailing that when the institution where I was at the time decided to get a fax machine that not only sent out faxes, but it would broadcast up to 30 at one fell swoop. Oh my gosh. We were so excited as a staff that we actually we actually had a ribbon cutting and a reception on campus inviting people to see this fancy new piece of equipment that their advanced PR office could now do. So it was great for the time, but we have obviously made those changes, and now, of course, living in very much a digital age, the tools that we now use, texting, emailing, video calls, such as what we're doing today, it's just changed so much. And now with AI coming on full force, all that has certainly changed the way that we're
Mhm.
doing this. Communicators are and PR professionals just continue to face several challenges in this very fast moving media landscape. And what comes to mind there are just a few things. Number one, the speed of news and crisis management. Number one, with the 24/7 news cycle and social media, as you mentioned a minute ago, crises can escalate within minutes. And PR pros, as a result, must act quickly, balancing speed with accuracy and strategic messaging. Number two, Misinformation and disinformation. Um, Disinformation and misleading narratives can damage reputations, as we all know. PR teams must be proactive in monitoring and correcting false information while maintaining credibility. Number three, media fragmentation and declining trust in traditional media. It's definitely a problem, a challenge that we're facing as PR professionals. Audiences are consuming news from a variety of sources, including influencers and niche platforms. Obviously, TikTok has become a real part of that. Traditional media is no longer the sole gatekeeper. It's still very much an important aspect, but they're not the sole gatekeepers that they once were. And it makes it harder to control the narratives that PR professionals seek to do. Number four, artificial intelligence. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, that continues to just evolve.
Mhm.
It seems like on a daily basis, and
Mhm.
maybe not an hourly basis.
Yeah.
AI-driven content generation is truly reshaping media relations and content creation. PR pros must adapt by leveraging AI while ensuring authenticity and ethical communication. And then number five, the rise of citizen journalism. Anyone with one of these, you have a smartphone, these people can all shape public opinion.
Mhm.
PR teams must engage directly with audiences monitoring and responding to real-time conversations. Number seven, standing out in a noisy environment. With an overwhelming amount of content, brands must craft compelling, human-centered stories to capture attention and engagement. Then number eight, I've got down to 10 if you wonder. Number eight,
Sure.
timely, consistent, and frequent communications with both internal and external stakeholders. Colleges and universities must align internal and external messaging to maintain credibility, and even more so. I mean, we've always done, I think, a really good job at that, but with all these other pressing matters on us, it's compelling us to do an even more effective job, in my opinion. Number nine, measuring PR impact and ROI. Providing the tangible value of PR efforts remains a challenge, requiring advanced analytics, social listening, and integrated measurement strategies. And then number 10, Sammy, is social and political polarization. Companies are under pressure to take stands on social issues, companies, colleges, universities, whoever, but doing so can alienate segments of their audience. So PR professionals must navigate these decisions wisely, carefully, and strategically.
So how do you develop ideas for stories, for PR campaigns that resonate with higher education audience or nonprofit? You could speak to both.
Okay. And I'm going to break this actually down into two areas because the higher ed and nonprofit audiences being one, and then obviously those who are the constituents that colleges and universities deal with. So we have a whole lot of a lot of individuals that we're trying to address.
Hmm.
So to respond to your question, for higher ed and nonprofit audiences, these audiences are driven by purpose, impact, and community engagement. So effective PR campaigns should reflect those values, such as mission-driven storytelling, highlight real stories of students, faculty, and alumni who are making a difference. Showcase research or programs that contribute to societal good. Use human-centered narratives that evoke emotion and connection. Data plus emotion equals impact, in my opinion. Pair compelling statistics with real life stories to demonstrate the institution's or the nonprofit's effectiveness. For example, if you were to say 90% of scholarship recipients stay in the region after graduation, meet one of them making an impact. I mean, that really stands out. And you're using data with emotion, and then you get the impact. Next is to leverage faculty and thought leadership. Very, very important. Position faculty members as experts in media outreach and op-eds, host media availabilities, and that has become an even bigger thing, particularly for those of us here at the University of Kentucky, where since video conferencing has really taken on an even greater life of its own, especially after the pandemic. We're using media availabilities, getting our experts on, and it has really taken on with a lot of popularity among media. Engage advocates and influencers. Use student ambassadors, alumni, and community leaders to amplify the message. Encourage storytelling through user-generated content, such as students sharing their experiences on social media. Take a community-centric approach. Highlight partnerships with local organizations and businesses. Show how research or initiatives benefit the broader community. So that's the first aspect of your question. Now, for college and university supporters, such as donor, alumni, and other, parents and other partners, community, never forget your local community. This group is often motivated by legacy, impact, and connection to the institution. So in that case, you need to showcase the impact of giving, appeal to nostalgia and legacy, uh, exclusive and behind the scenes content is terrific. Offer VIP access to campus projects, student success stories, or leadership insights. And we have found that media tours, occasional media tours, are just a hit with that. Mm-hmm. Engage thorough events and networking opportunities. Seek how alumni reunions, service days on your campus, donor appreciation gatherings can help build deeper connections. Leverage digital events for supporters who can't attend the event. So if they want to be a part, maybe you've got an event in Kentucky, but you live in California, there, Sammy, and you'd like to be a part of that, then we need to figure out a way digitally so that you can come on and be a part of that, and then use personalized storytelling. And so all of those aspects make a significant difference.
You mentioned media tours, so I imagine that's part of the approach you have for building strong relationships with journalists. Um, can you also expand on, how do you build relationships with journalists who are covering education?
Right. Boy, I could actually spend about 2 hours talking about this, but I know we're limited on time. So I want to make this point very clearly. This is public relations, not desk relations. And, if we're not careful, we can become so engaged with, thankful we have technology that we can sit at our desk like we are right now. Mm-hmm. But there's also a downside to that if we're not careful in this work, and that is to just stay behind the desk. We've got to be out in front and with people as much as possible, having that face to face. So, should face to face not be possible, then seek to do the next best thing, perhaps a video call, such as what we're doing now. Mm-hmm. Be steady and consistent with building relations with journalists and media management. It is an absolute must. I have found for myself that personal visits with them once or twice a year are effective as long as you have something worthy of their time. And that doesn't always work. I'll always give them, of course, lead time to say, hey, I'm going to be in your area, would love to stop by. And usually, 99% of them are going to say, oh, that would be great, would love to sit down and talk to you. But when it can't be, then we try to find another way to get together, maybe by the phone or over a video call. Yeah. But always ask journalists ways you can best serve their needs and their news interest. Don't send them news releases or story pitches that are absolutely of no interest. Be strategic in your pitches. Don't pitch to the Washington Post or the New York Times or any other national outlet stories that would only interest those in your part of the world. So you've really got to be mindful of that, because it can easily ruin your reputation as a PR person if you just don't do your homework. And then when they begin seeing that that you can be trusted, that you quickly respond to their request, that your stories and pitches match their interest, and that you provide accurate information in a timely way that will interest their audience, you'll soon move, in my opinion. Well, actually, it's probably more than in my opinion, Sammy. I've seen this. You'll soon move from a long list of PR contacts they have to one who is among their top go-tos. And that's really, really important.
You touched on this a little bit, but what common mistakes do higher education institutions or nonprofit make when communicating with the media?
Yeah. Well, many of which I've already mentioned. It is so important to do your homework in advance, not
Mhm.
just to get on email and just do massive pitching. The other, weak headlines in a press release. It is absolutely imperative that we spend time at developing strong, understandable headlines that are not riddled with acronyms. You and I may understand a particular acronym that we in higher ed will use, but for the general public and for other constituents we work with, they may not necessarily be accustomed to seeing that. So we need to be mindful that acronyms, particularly in headlines, should be taboo. So
Mhm.
get
Mhm.
away from that, and making sure that again that your pitches are really tight. That you have that it shows the journalists that you've done your homework.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me just close the door because my dog was in my room and he wanted to get out of my room.
Hey,
So
there you
I had to open the
go.
door for him. Sorry for the disruption here.
Oh, no problem. No
We'll edit
problem.
it out. Um, yeah. So let's shift our focus a little bit to press releases. We talked about press releases. What is your view of them? And in this day and age, particularly in higher education.
Long live the press release.
Yes.
That's where I stand. Too many of us have limited the opportunities a press release can offer, in my opinion. And there are many out there who have announced the premature demise of this tried and true PR workhorse, claiming it's a relic from the past, but I respectfully disagree. The masterful public relations professional truly understands the life that a press release, beyond its immediate earned media value, has. In my opinion, there are seven uses that the press release can be used for. Number one, relevant, timely news, data, business announcement, developments for journalists. That's the given. That's the number one. But beyond that, relevant, timely content for websites and online publications. Three, relevant, timely information for external constituents. Number four, relevant, timely information for internal constituents. Five, enhanced exposure for a program or whatever you're writing about, covering. Number six, repurposed content for podcasts, blogs, marketing communications, as well as social media, by all means. And then number seven, support for a brand's storytelling efforts. Particularly, they are helpful reference material for thought leadership whenever they are sharing with members of the media, or they are perhaps addressing a civic club or any other civic organization. So it continues to be a very usable, practical source of accurate, timely information. And so I'm for the press release on
Yeah.
and on.
I love that. I want to go back to what you said earlier about, the headline and how important the headline is of a press release as well. We talked about this in a recent episode um, where we had our experts at Cision talk about the importance of headlines and press releases. And, you also mentioned, not using like jargon or acronyms or, yeah.
Yes.
What other advice do you have for, when it comes to writing press releases? Are there absolute no-nos? Any best practices you'd like to share?
Couple things come to mind. Number one, personalization. Don't every single pitch that I do, I personalize it to the reporter that I am pitching to. I'm not casting it out there as if I'm just sending it to thousands and thousands of journalists, but I want them to know that I am directing it to them, that I know that they cover a particular beat, that this story that I'm sending them or pitching to them is of relevance to what they cover. Whenever I'm emailing a pitch, which many of the pitches I now do using that technology, in terms of formatting, the subject line is incredibly important. And so, if say for example, if I'm pitching a story, say on cancer research, then I will always begin on that subject line in all caps, cancer research, colon, and then I will proceed with the title of the actual press release. And then in parentheses, I'll put the name of my university
Mhm.
on there. And that's a proven and effective way that it's not 100% that it's always going to grab the attention, but it does show the reporter that you care enough that you are saying this area of interest, that part of your beats, among the beats that you cover, cancer research is one of them. We want you to consider this pitch. And so if you can, the more that you can show that you're personalizing and being considerate of them and thoughtful of what they're trying to cover, then here again, you begin building a reputation for yourself as a solid PR contact for them. And then the other is just what I had mentioned earlier, is simply remembering your audience.
Mhm.
You've got to put the audience before your own interest. So, what may be, I mean, obviously the things that we're turning out are really, really important to the institution, but we've got to be mindful that when we are pitching stories or producing press releases, that the end user, the reader, the person who's going to be seeing the story on the 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock news, or they're hearing it over the radio, or they're hearing about it on a podcast, or wherever it might be. We've got to be mindful and respectful of that audience. So those are two critical things, I believe, Sammy, that they're easily done. They take time, but if we don't rush and we show that we've done our homework, then you can garner some good results, I believe.
Absolutely. I cannot stress enough the importance of personalization and knowing, what the journalist covers and what their audience are interested in. That goes a long way. So doing your research and your due diligence when you're pitching is very important. Thank you so much for sharing those. Let's talk about your incredible books that I loved reading over the past couple days. What inspired you to write PR lessons learned along the way, and when in doubt, make applesauce? What was the inspiration behind those two books?
Well, I appreciate you asking. Both have some interesting stories. Probably don't have time to tell the whole for both of them, but for the first book, I was not even looking. I mean, everybody says they want to one day, write a book, but I really was not seriously considering writing until a friend of mine who was a book publisher had been a part of an audience where I was doing a presentation about PR lessons that I had learned along the way in my journey. And so he invited me to have coffee with him, and he was talking about a couple of books that he had just published, and I really thought that was what he wanted to talk about. And I'll never will forget, he put down his coffee and then leaned into me. He said, "So when do we publish your book?" I kind of chuckled, and he did, and he said, "No, I'm serious, Mark." He said, "I heard the what you had shared," and he said, "I think that what you shared would be perfect if you would consider writing that in a book." So the idea for this most current book came to mind. I really feel like Sammy, and this is what led to it. I felt like that that we need to, as strategic public relations officers, that we need to have a North Star. And with that North Star, I thought of 8 habits that the masterful, well, I should say the 8 habits. What would be those 8 habits that would really develop a strategic public relations professional into a masterful public relations professional? So I crafted it from that perspective, because in my opinion, the masterful public relations professional um, is the cream of the crop. These are those who are just wishing and working hard and embracing and practicing each and every day those 8 habits. Now, I will say, excuse me, in terms of the title, I've had several people say, "Well, where did you come up with that title?" And that's always kind of a funny one, because I had the outline for the book ready. I had the subheading ready to go, and so one afternoon I dropped by to visit my mom, who at the time was 84 years old. We just lost her. She just passed this last April. So I'm really glad that she got to see this book, because she always made this incredible applesauce as well as a good homemade apple pie. But she had this incredible she had this saying that when things were just, kind of too much, and you needed to clear your mind, she would make this comment, "Well, when in doubt, make applesauce." And so she asked me, well, as we were sitting in the living room, she goes, "Well, how's your book coming along, Mark?" And I said, "Well, it's coming along great, but I just for the life of me cannot think of a catchy title that I want for this book." And she said, "Well, you know what I've always said, when in doubt, make applesauce." And it was a eureka moment. So that's where that part came from. So I told her that in her honor, I would include in the book her homemade applesauce recipe, and sure enough, if you look in the very back, in recognition of her contribution to this book, that
Yeah.
recipe is in there.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it, and what an amazing story about the habits in the book. The core habits that make a master public relations professional. What is one lesson or habit from each book that you think PR professionals should implement immediately? Before you go, I'm gonna say my favorite one was resilience. Having working in having worked in PR, there's a lot of ups and downs, and like in any industry, but in PR particularly, it's so fast paced and it's so intense that resilience is, it's a vital trait you need.
Yes, I
So,
agree. I
well,
appreciate you saying that, and
yeah,
I agree. I mean, we have to learn how to be resilient. There are going to be plenty of times that we may take those hits and all, but we have to learn to always rebound from that. So I appreciate
yeah,
that. For me, the I guess the one theme that uh, that is for both of the books, even though they're similar in some ways, but dissimilar in many other ways. But there is one theme, and that is that the masterful public relations professional is a model of unquestionable character and integrity who lives it out in their personal and professional lives. And so, that's habit number one, and it's by no accident that I do list that as habit one in the applesauce book,
mhm,
because it is the foundation of who we are. The only thing that we actually own in this life is our reputation. And so we as PR professionals must always do whatever it takes to protect it, whatever. And so that would be mine.
yeah, that's a great one, that's for sure. All right, so do you have any final thoughts or advice for PR professionals working in higher ed or nonprofits?
Oh, yes. I have a few things. Well, first of all, always keep yourself fresh and relevant. As I noted earlier, things that I had been doing in the office 40 years ago worked tremendously well. But if I were to do those today, it wouldn't be such a great day in the workplace. Be an indispensable voice in the room or at the board table. If a great measurement there is that if you were not in the room, would others miss your opinion, your wisdom, your counsel? So be an indispensable voice. Embrace emerging communication technologies. There's so much, even as we're kind of laughing looking back at the technologies that I came into, and now the ones that we have present, guess what? Who knows, another 10, 20 years from now, we would look back at what we think now is just the latest and greatest and probably chuckle at that, saying, oh, can you believe that, that we had those technologies? So we'll always be having those technologies in communication emerging. And so in order, it's really important that we keep ourselves fresh, relevant, and by having those embracing in our uses. As I mentioned earlier, don't get trapped behind your office desk. Get out and know your audiences. Become a lifelong learner. And lastly, enjoy the journey. That is so important. I absolutely love this work, and um, you know, coming into it every day, coming into the office every day, walking around campus, being able to be in a classroom situation, being in meetings, talking with media. Oh my gosh, I love it all. I just love it all. So those of us who serve in public relations truly realize it's a calling, and it is. I really feel that way.
Well, this is great advice. And how can listeners connect with you and get a copy of your books?
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Well, I'm on LinkedIn and would love to connect with anyone watching and listening to us today. And I'm also on X as well as on Blue Sky. So please feel free to reach out to me on those platforms. Um, in terms of the book, you can go to Amazon, or you can go to most leading independent booksellers, literally in about 30 countries. You can order it online from them. Or Sammy, if you're ever near the campus of the University of Kentucky, you can also come to the Barnes and Noble's UK bookstore where both books are available there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, thank you so much, Mark. And this was a fascinating interview. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you so much for joining us. And have a great day.
Thank you. You too, and I wish everyone well.
Thank you so much.